can be beaten.
Well, that's certainly right. But the first 5,000 meters, 40 minutes. I just feel that in the European days of when Lasse Viren and people like that were running, they would have been in contention certainly halfway. Whereas 40 minutes is not excessive. I'm surprised that the group was as small as it was.
I think the point you made a couple of times earlier, Brendan, the conditions really, I do find it a bit surprising that they've chosen mid-afternoon to run a 10,000 meter final.
The world record holder Sotomayor about to take his second attempt now. Still the bar at 240, 7 feet 10 and a half. Oh yes, I thought his run-up was not going terribly well, but that is a sign of a true champion. The Olympic champion and the world record holder takes a real stranglehold. Well, that of course was a little earlier. You may have heard the roar, but that is Artur Partika. And he's gone now. If the positions stay the same, Partika will get silver. But Steve Smith still has one attempt left.
The leaders have 5.5 laps left in the 10,000 meters. And the battle is really on. Chelimo, the Kenyan, versus Gebrselassie, the Ethiopian. The world champion himself, Tanui, dropped off the pace a lap ago, and he's now some 20-odd meters behind. Actually, I just crossed those Kenyans because I was watching a high jump. It's Tanui who's made the break, the defending champion. Gebrselassie has got with him, and Chelimo is the one who's suffering, which is surprising.
Well, just less than 5 laps to go in the 10,000 meters, and I'm a bit surprised that the field is strung out as much as it is, because the pace isn't excessive. It's not a fantastic pace to run 10,000 meters. I'm very surprised to see Richard Chelimo drop off the back of the group, and I noticed that Moses Tanui invited Gebrselassie to take the lead, and Gebrselassie said, well, if you want me to, I will, but I'm going to slow it down, which he did, and every single person who's led, Gebrselassie has followed. So now the pressure is on Moses Tanui.
High jump.
Final attempt, and it's an important one. It's not to be, but what a marvellous performance. Steve Smith finishes with a bronze medal. He's only 20 years old, but he's equalled the Commonwealth record. He's equalled the British record. Sotomayor wins, Partika in second, and Liverpool Harriers gets a bronze medal in the shape of Steve Smith.
So the defending world champion Tanui leading, Gebrselassie in second place, and really we get a chance now to concentrate on the 10,000 meters. I mean, keep an eye on the high jumpers as well, because there's only Sotomayor left, and he's certain of the gold medal. And he can take his time now and wait for the 10,000 meters to finish. Panetta, silver medalist in 87, a long way back today. Chelimo saying, come on, take your turn. He's not interested. Tanui, rather, I'm crossing this two. Tanui, just looking back there. And he's saying, come on, take your turn. And Gebrselassie is just not interested.
Well, why should he be? He's here to win a race. He's not here to run a time. And Moses Tanui inviting him to help him with a pace. Well, they're in a battle here for a gold medal. Moses Tanui leads, the reigning world champion. Gebrselassie follows behind him. He's followed behind every single leader. He's concentrated on this race beautifully. He's moved closely to the leader when he's needed to, but he's not interested in leading. There's 3 laps to go, and he's here for a gold medal. He won a silver medal in the 5,000 meters the other night, so it would be a remarkable double if he could win this race. And there in third place, Richard Chelimo. Well, I'm surprised to see him back there, but I didn't think he ran a great race. I thought he ran a race where he was pushing the pace occasionally, but not keeping the pressure on sufficiently to get rid of the rest of the field. And he's paid the price for that. He led for a long way and wasn't able to split the field apart. Moses Tanui went through a bad patch, and then he managed to close on them when they slowed down. But Gebrselassie, he's just trapped.
Stuttgart, Germany, and the focus on the final laps of the men's 10,000. And these two have been in this position for the last few laps, with about 6 laps remaining. Moses Tanui indicated to Gebrselassie, why don't you get up and do some front running? He stepped aside and indicated, go on by.
but Gebrselassie stayed right where he was, stalking Moses Tanui.
It's very sensible tactics in many respects there, because he's forcing Tanui to do the running, and Tanui knows that all the time Gebrselassie is behind him. He also knows he's got good finishing speed. It's a different situation for Tanui. In 1991 in Tokyo, he let Richard Chelimo do an immense amount of front running, and at one stage Chelimo was 200 meters ahead of the field. And then with about 600 meters to go, Tanui's tremendous finishing effort brought him the gold medal. The situation is somewhat reversed today, and Gebrselassie is quite within his rights, of course, to stay back and let Tanui do the running.
And that can be so frustrating when you're running, and you have such a long way to go still, and someone's breathing down your back.
Gebrselassie is right behind Tanui. They have about 550 meters remaining. And it is going to be a battle for the gold between these two. I don't think there's any question of that. Richard Chelimo, the world record holder for a brief span of 5 days, is simply too far back. So they're now coming up to the bell in the men's 10,000.
And lapping such notaries as Salvatore Altivo and many other world-class runners. This race has put something as Gebrselassie stood on Tanui's heel, and he's kicked his shoe off, and he's now also starting his finishing kick. That's a long finishing kick in a race like this.
Running barefoot, he has kicked off his left shoe. Gebrselassie came up to him at the bell. Tanui threw up his hands. It appeared as though Gebrselassie may have stepped on his heel. So Tanui kicked off his shoe. This is incredible.
200 meters to go for Tanui. Can he defend his championship? Has he opened a big enough gap in front of Haile Gebrselassie?
Gebrselassie was the bronze medalist at 5,000 meters. He's now closing the gap on Tanui. Tanui running barefoot with his left foot without a shoe, kicking it off at the bell. But here comes Gebrselassie, the sprint to the finish line, and Gebrselassie is going to get there ahead of him. Gebrselassie stalking Tanui for most of the last 10 laps, and then overtaking him in the final 50 meters and sprinting to the gold medal. This is where the accident occurred. Just at the bell, Gebrselassie coming up on Tanui. Tanui throwing up his arm saying, what is going on? His shoe obviously came loose, and he decided that rather than run with a loose shoe, he would simply kick it off and run barefoot, as so many of the Kenyans do start their running routines as barefoot athletes. But look at this. Tanui is upset with Gebrselassie. Gebrselassie trying to apologize, and Tanui is having none of it.
Very angry.
Naturally angry, naturally very frustrated when he'd done such a lot of front running. To be beaten on the run-in, it's always extremely disheartening for a runner. But there they are. This was not to be his day.
Wild finish in the 10K. Gebrselassie borrowing a page from Doug Flutie and winning it with the old sneaker play. Moses loses it by about a foot. Moses, you must be extremely disappointed. Tell me what happened there. And
somebody stepped on my shoes, and I could not run the last lap the way I wanted.
Of course, it was the man that beat you, and that makes it all the more difficult. How did you feel going into that lap, and could you have run barefoot any better?
Sure, because if I had my shoes, he could not beat me, definitely. I know that, because my sprint is too fast also.
Is there an avenue for you to protest an incident like this?
This is not an accident. This is an accident because this is not a good running. Because how somebody stayed here and all that. He pushed me for several laps, like 5 laps to go. He pushed me all the time at the back until I stop and tell him to go. He refuses all the time. So I decided to move alone. And I was preparing to run my last lap so that he cannot beat me, and I know he cannot beat me in the last lap. So he stepped on my shoes, and my shoes was off, so I could not run very fast.
Very tough luck. Good luck in the future, and congratulations on the silver. Heartbreaker for Moses, and tough for the Ethiopian too, because a moment like this should always be cherished. As you can see, even during the medal ceremony, they ran clips of the whole affair. A rather cold gold here in Stuttgart today.